The origins of Alice in Wonderland. The story behind Alice's adventures in Wonderland begins with the inventive, playful mind of Charles L. Dawson, the man behind the pen name Lewis Carroll. A natural storyteller, Dawson delighted in inventing new stories to entertain his friends. One summer afternoon in July 1862, Dawson rode up the Thames River from Oxford to Godstow with his friend Henry George Little and Henry's eldest daughters, Lorena, Alice, and Edith. It was on this golden afternoon that Dawson first dreamt up the story of Alice and her adventures, inspired by the real Lil Alice Little, who asked for a story to keep them amused. The Little family loved the tale of Alice's adventures so much that at the end of the day, Alice asked Dawson to write it down. It would take him 2.5 years to complete, but from this afternoon of spontaneous storytelling, the Alice in Wonderland we know and love was born. On October 19, 1863, Dawson was introduced to the publisher Alexander Macmillan in Oxford by Thomas Combe, director of the Clarendon Press and printer to Oxford University. Macmillan had recently published Charles Kingsley's children's novel, The Water Babies, to much acclaim. Realizing a similar potential in Dawson's tale, Macmillan agreed to publish it under Dawson's pen name, Lewis Carroll, and on a commission basis, Carroll paid for the printing and marketing, while Macmillan was paid a set commission on sales. This was to be the start of a long and successful publishing relationship between the two of them. Macmillan would go on to publish all of Carroll's books, as well as many works written under his own name on mathematics, geometry, and logic. After a couple of alternative titles for the story were rejected, Alice Among the Fairies and Alice's Golden Hour, the book was finally published in 1865 as Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. The entire print run sold out quickly, and Alice's Adventures in Wonderland became a publishing sensation, adored by children and adults alike. It was not only Carroll's wonderful storytelling that captured readers' imaginations. The illustrations cleverly incorporated into the text brought the story and characters to life and have become part of the book's cultural phenomenon. They were the work of John Tyniel, a lead cartoonist for the political magazine Punch, whose work Carroll greatly admired. Their collaboration has given us the iconic Alice imagery that remains in our collective consciousness to this day. To date, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland has never been out of print and has been translated into at least 176 languages. A story of the timeless joy of pure storytelling and the mutual passion and vision of author and publisher. The Disney version, 1951. Alice in Wonderland is a 1951 American animated film produced by Walt Disney Productions and released by RKO Radio Pictures. It is based on Lewis Carroll's 1865 novel, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and its 1871 sequel, Through the Looking Glass. The production was supervised by Ben Sharpstein and was directed by Clyde Geronimi, Wilfred Jackson, and Hamilton Lusk, with the voices of Edwin, Richard Hayden, Sterling Holloway, Jerry Colonna, and Catherine Beaumont in her film debut. Of the film follows a young girl, Alice, who falls down a rabbit hole and enters a nonsensical world of Wonderland, which is ruled by the Queen of Hearts while encountering strange creatures, including the Mad Hatter and the Cheshire Cat. The film was originally intended to be a live-action or animated film, but Disney decided it would be a fully animated feature film. During its production, many sequences adapted from Carroll's books were later omitted, such as Jabberwocky, The White Knight, The Duchess, Mock Turtle, and the Gryphon. Live action shift. When Disney did revisit the story, they chose to make it a live action or CGI blockbuster with Tim Burton's 2010 Alice in Wonderland, focusing on a new, more marketable narrative structure rather than a faithful animated adaptation. Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland in 2010 was a massive box office success, grossing over $1.25 billion dollars worldwide against a $200 million budget, making it the second highest grossing film of 2010. Disney's 1951 animated Alice in Wonderland and the 2010 live action film are not the same story. The 1951 movie is a direct, whimsical adaptation of Lewis Carroll's books, while the 2010 Tim Burton film functions more as a sequel of reimagining, featuring a 19-year-old Alice returning to Wonderland. So the key differences we've missed when it comes to plot and character age, the 1951 Alice is a child experiencing Wonderland for the first time. The 2010 Alice is 19 years old, returning to the world she visited as a child to fulfill a destiny. In terms of tone, the 1951 version is a musical, colorful, and nonsensical adventure. The 2010 version is a darker, action oriented fantasy adventure, often referred to as a sequel in spirit. So, in terms of story arc, the 1951 focuses on Alice exploring the madness, while 2010 focuses on Alice fighting the Jabberwocky to overthrow the Red Queen. So, in terms of their connection, while both are Disney films, the 2010 version is a new story inspired by the original characters rather than a scene for scene remake. While an animated Through the Looking Glass was never produced by Disney, a live action version was released in 2016. Why Alice is not considered a Disney princess? Alice is not an official Disney princess primarily because she is a young child, roughly 10 years old rather than a teenager or young adult, and she is not of royal blood or married into royalty. She also lacks a true love storyline and a dramatic heroic act to rescue a kingdom, failing to meet the core, more mature criteria for the franchise. So, as a standalone brand like Anna and Elsa from Frozen or Tinker Bell, Alice has her own highly successful franchise and does not need to be part of the princess line to be a popular, marketable character. Alice in Wonderland inspired dolls. The release timeline for Alice in Wonderland dolls spans decades, ranging from early commemorative dolls to modern detailed collector's editions by Disney, Tulip, and Mattel. Key milestones include the 1951 during the film release, so the 2000s Tulip series and the 2010s up to 2020's Disney Store, Mattel, and the Burton film. So a unique Alice doll produced in the 1930s was given to Alice Liddell or Alice Hargreaves, who is the real life inspiration for Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. So this doll was created several decades after the book was released, likely during the time surrounding the 1932 centenary of Lewis Carroll's birth, an event Alice attended in the United States. So in 2004, Tulip releases their first Alice doll called Fantastic Alice. So this Alice doll has been brought out in July 2004. So she got a beautiful long blonde wig and blue eyes. Her face makeup contains orange tints and looks natural. Her skin color looks natural and beautiful as well. So this Alice doll has the type 2 body, which is very movable, and the scalp head, as well as her eyes can stay or cannot stay closed. So in 2005, R. John Wright produces a 17 inches felt Alice in Wonderland limited edition doll. So which has 750 pieces made. So this is a 17 inches tall doll, all felt with hand painted features, fully jointed, hand knotted human hair wig, dressed in felt, cotton, and silk costume. So, first piece in the Alice in Wonderland collection based on the original illustrations by Sir John Tyniel. So, in 2007 to 2008, so additional Tulip releases including another Alice, another Queen, and another Clock Rabbit. So in 2007 to 2008, so the toy maker Pulip so once again made additional releases including another Alice, another Queen, and another Clock Rabbit dolls and figures. So in 2010, Living Dead Dolls by Mezco releases a Wonderland line to coincide with Tim Burton's film featuring Sadie as Alice. So by 2010 to 2011, so this is by far the best era of the Alice in Wonderland dolls. So the Alice in Wonderland 2010 live action is just everything. Even in the doll line, so the dolls were stunning. The dolls were stunning. The likeness of their facial sculpts with each character is by far the best. So as far as I think, there is a toy maker called Tonner who made the best Alice in Wonderland dolls in 2010. So Mattel and Disney Store as well produced dolls for Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. So 2011 to 2021, a series of 17 inches limited edition Alice dolls released by the Disney Store, including animated and live action versions. So in 2015, once again, Arjan Wright produces a 150th anniversary commemorative Alice doll, which has 250 pieces made. In 2016, Disney releases Alice Through the Looking Glass dolls, including a 12 inches Time doll. So Time is another new character in the sequel film, in that sequel Through the Looking Glass film. So by 2021, in July of 2021, Disney Limited Edition Alice in Wonderland by Mary Blair released. So this is to coincide the 70th anniversary. By October 2021, so during the D23 event, so there is a D23 exclusive Alice in Wonderland plush set, which includes Cheshire Cat and Mad Hatter this time. So in June of 2023, Disney Collector Alice in Wonderland doll Mattel Creations released featuring Alice grown big in the White Rabbit's house. So this is one of my favorite top tier Alice in Wonderland dolls made. By September of 2024, Disney Store releases the Alice in Wonderland limited edition doll as part of the Midnight Masquerade series. So this year, I'm not sure if toy companies will be releasing a 75th anniversary Alice doll. There are no current rumors about it, and if there would be, I am 100% sure that it's a limited edition doll as usual. So I think it's interesting to rank all of the Alice in Wonderland dolls for my future videos, so keep supporting my channel. Thanks for watching and joining me as we celebrate the diamond anniversary of the legendary Alice in Wonderland.